What if Doctor Who wasn't axed in 1989? Well, that's a question I've been trying to answer for about 4 years, and we're nearly at the end. Currently we're in the mid-2010s as we grow ever closer to the present day, based now purely on 25 years of detailed, complex and convoluted canon to follow, each decision to the next through cause and effect. Let's find out what the next season has in store, thanks to a lot, and I mean a lot, of guesswork. The sixth movie in the official Doctor Who movie franchise would have been Doctor Who Until the World Ends in 2018, 5 years since the release of Doctor Who Genesis. Obviously, the biggest departure from the previous 5 films is that the film does not feature the incumbent Doctor, Adjo Ando, and instead features Patterson Joseph reprising his role as the 12th Doctor, but that is far from the only departure. Until the World Ends started its development in 2013 when it was greenlit by Paramount under the working title Doctor Who 6 and was set to star Samantha Bond as her regeneration story like the first 4 films. However, as detailed in the previous videos, this didn't exactly go to plan. Firstly, the movie was going through development hell. Martin Campbell was originally slated to direct again, but in December 2013 he left the project. Ronald D. Moore had developed a storyline, but Paramount rejected it, saying it wasn't large scale enough and just felt like a standard 2-part television episode. Then Iris Stephen Bear left the Doctor Who production team as franchise executive, meaning he wasn't there to steady the ship, the way he had over the past few years. Paramount then brought in Joss Whedon to develop a story and direct, but this fell through in March 2015 when he ran into conflicts with both Paramount and Ronald D. Moore. After that, Neil Berger was brought on to direct and develop a script with Moore. By August, the script was finished, but Paramount weren't happy with it and they requested it be rewritten heavily. Berger left the project soon after, and Paramount were forced to delay the release of the film until 2017, meaning Samantha Bond would have to stay as the Doctor a series longer, which she didn't want to do. With CBS and Paramount tensions at an all-time high, CBS sneakily sent the directive to Moore to regenerate Bond off in the season 50 finale in early 2016, meaning Paramount had lost their lead for Doctor Who 6. After this, the project stalled for a few months, before Paramount brought Gareth Edwards, who directed Godzilla and Rogue One, on board to direct. He again worked with Moore to develop the stories of the 15th Doctor's regeneration, now scheduled for 2018. However, Ando didn't want to leave after 2 seasons and wanted to do a third. She said that if Moore fired her after 2 seasons, she wouldn't sign up for a film, as it's a separate contract. Development continued throughout 2016 and early 2017 with Edwards, until he decided to leave the project. During this time, season 51 premiered, and the reaction was not favourable to the stories or to the Doctor. Moore and CBS were then told that the project was being put on hold until Ando decided to leave the role. However, Paramount kept secretly developing the film, this time from the ground up, chucking out the Campbell, Whedon, Berger, Edwards and Moore versions of the story. Paramount brought on former Doctor Who showrunner David Renwick to head up the film. Also, director S.J. Clarkson was brought on to direct, as well as prestigious screenwriter Andrew Davis. At this point, the new version of Doctor Who 6 was being developed with the 15th Doctor in mind, but in July 2017 the idea was suggested by Renwick to bring back an old Doctor. Renwick made a list of 4 Doctors who they could cunningly bring back and make a popular film with, and he ranked them in order of popularity he thought with the general public. They were Patterson Joseph, Richard E. Grant, Paul McGann and Anthony Head. Paramount intended to ask the actors in that order, but after first asking Joseph, he immediately agreed to reprise the role. Things, however, became more complicated at this time as Adjo Ando made the decision, albeit not publicly, to leave after 2 seasons after all, and now she could appear in the film. However, in September it was announced by Paramount and BBC Films that the film would be released in November 2018 and feature Patterson Joseph as the Doctor, unbeknownst to Ando. And while this delighted some fans across the world, was the first time Moore even knew this film was going ahead, let alone without his or his Doctor's involvement. Tensions stoked up between CBS and Paramount, with the BBC acting as piggy in the middle. However, just before filming began in January 2018, something happened which changed everything. Ronald D. Moore was fired. Over the next month, with filming now halted till March, Jane Espenson, the new franchise executive, was brought on board the project to ensure some consistency with the television series and Chapter 4. It was agreed that Michael Hogan would now appear as Irani, and so would Gillian Anderson as Cajun Ryan, for example. The script was redrafted as it was originally supposed to feature the Master, Jason Isaacs, who Jane Espenson vetoed, and Bambera, before filming began in March. Around this time, Ando retracted her decision to leave after season 52 and decided to stay on board for season 53, meaning Paramount were justified in sticking with Joseph as the Doctor. Even though Jane Espenson was now on the project, this didn't affect CBS and Paramount's relations, as Espenson was representing Doctor Who's production team, or BBC Scotland, more than she was CBS. CBS wanted blood, and that's what they tried to do. They tried to commission an hour-long Doctor Who special for November featuring Adjoa Andoh and Samantha Bond. However, the BBC said no. Firstly, they said they didn't have the money for it, and secondly, the Doctor Who production team was already in chaos, and they needed as much time and resources for season 53, as well as the fact the BBC through BBC Films were making the film, and they didn't want to give their own film unnecessary competition. CBS did, however, end up making a short 18-minute minisode instead, without the BBC's involvement, with the same concept of Adjoa Andoh meeting Samantha Bond, albeit in a completely American production and a dramatically shorter. And that can now be read on the wiki. This was distributed on CBS All Access in the US and BBC iPlayer in the UK. Despite the fact Children in Need was the same week, the BBC decided not to air this episode on there, as it was common for anniversary-based stories, so attention wouldn't be detracted from the new film. Instead, Adjoa Andoh appeared on it with an in-character on-stage appearance, as had become commonplace instead of the minisodes. The first trailer was released at Comic-Con in July 2018 in a special panel for the film, where the title was also revealed. A joint Doctor Who on the Elysium panel followed, and this is where the general public first got their sense that something was wrong, as when asked if she'd seen the trailer for the film, Adjoa Andoh responded with a snide joke about not ever going to watch the film. This did split the fandom a bit, but most didn't really care. As long as it had the name Doctor Who slapped on, they would go to see it. For the general public, especially the ones who stopped watching after Samantha Bond, this was an easy way back into Doctor Who. The ones who had seen Doctor Who with Patterson Joseph were eager to see the most popular 21st century Doctor back on screen again, and the ones who never saw him in the role were eager to see the 12th Doctor for the first time in a new story on the big screen. And new people watched the film too, especially as it was marketed as a big action film blockbuster, with, even on the poster, the name Doctor Who is quite small, as the marketing team especially asked for the film to be called Until the World Ends during the press launch. We also have a new companion brought on board, with former 12th Doctor era guest star Felicity Jones now playing Rosalind Klein, and Jacqueline Pearce reprising a much beloved character Angela Jensen. During the post-production process for the film, in August, Jacqueline Pearce was diagnosed with lung cancer, and a few weeks later in September she sadly passed away. It goes without saying that even though she got a dedication on Doctor Who, she was also given one at the end of this film. And speaking of setting, just to avoid confusion, this film is set between Mad World and Vengeance for the 12th Doctor, and yes, they are retroactively giving the 12th Doctor another companion. So without further ado, let's dive into this film. Hello, this isn't the plot of the episode, this is me doing an interlude. For lots of reasons, I've decided to end the series as a video series properly, because, quite frankly, the editing and recording time of these videos is a lot, and I've got a lot on, and it's very difficult. Now, I tried to do this once before, about a year and a half ago, and it didn't quite work because I was doing it as full plots and it was very difficult. But now I've got this fantastic blog set up which you can read basically scripts for these videos on instead of hearing me speak them, which takes a lot of editing, and you can just read them. So Until the World Ends is going to be the first one of those. So yes, this isn't me reading the plot for this episode. I've done all the introduction, and now I want you to head over to widwa.wordpress.com to have a read of the plot to Until the World Ends. So yes, that's going to be the end of this video, but I want everyone to head over to that, and all future releases are going to be on there. Does that mean the video series is actually ending though? Yes and no. It means that while there won't be regular videos for every single release, there are going to be some main ones. So at the end of 2019 and 2020, when I get there, I'm going to do a roundup video of the whole year and give links to each individual blog post you need to look at. I'm also going to be posting all the links to the blog posts on the community tab here, so everyone can get them. And in addition, when I actually finish the series and get up to date, I'm going to be making a whole string of videos to end off the series, comparison videos, compilation videos, etc., and lots of exciting stuff. But until then, I'm saying goodbye here on the video series, and I want everyone to look at the blog. So now, let's have a read of the plot of Until the World Ends, but you've got to do that yourself. So, until the next time I'm here, goodbye.